Talakad or Talakad is a desert-like town on the left bank of the Kaveri River 45 km from Mysore and 133 km from Bangalore in Karnataka, India. It once had over 30 temples, most of which now lay buried in sand. The extant group of temples, where the eastward flowing Kaveri River changes course as the sand on its banks spreads over a wide area, is a popular pilgrimage site for Hindus. History. The origin of the town is lost in antiquity. But one tradition is that its name was derived from two Kirata twin brothers, Tala and Kadu, who, cutting down a tree which they saw wild elephants worshipping, discovered that it contained an image of Shiva, and that the elephants were rishis transformed. The tree being miraculously restored, all obtained moksha and the place was named Talakadu, which was translated into Sanskrit as Dalavana. Two stone images declared to represent the brothers are pointed out in front of the temple Veerabhadra Swamy. In a later age, Rama is said to have halted here on his expedition to Lanka. The earliest authentic mention of the city of Talakad or Talakadu, in Sanskrit Dalavanapura, is in connection with the Ganga line of kings. Harivarma, who has been assigned to find a place was, according to an old chronicle, installed at Skandapura, but resided in the great city of Dalavanapura in the Karnataka. Thenceforward Talakad became the capital. These powerful sovereigns and there the subsequent kings of that line were crowned. At the beginning of the 11th century, the Gangas succumbed to the Kalas, who captured Talakad and gave it the name of Rajapura. But about 100 years later it was taken by the Hoysala king Vishnuvardhana, who drove the Kalas out of Mysore. After this time we find that Talakad was composed of 7 towns and 5 mathas or monastic establishments. The town of Mailangi or Malingi, on the opposite side of the river, was also a large place, and had the name of Jananathapura. Down to the middle of the 14th century, it remained a possession of the Hoysalas, and then passed in the hands of a feudatory of the Vijayanagar sovereigns, whose line appears to be known as that of Zama Raja. Curse of Talakad in 1610 it was conquered by the Mysore Raja under the following circumstances. Tinamala Raja, sometimes called Srarangaraya, the representative of the Vijayanagar family at Seringapatam, being afflicted with an incurable disease, came to Talakad for the purpose of offering sacrifices in the temple of Vaidesvara. His second wife Alamalama was left in charge of the government of Srirangagapattanam. But she, hearing that her husband was on the point of death, soon after left for Talakad with the object of seeing him before he died, handing over Srirangapattanam and its dependencies to Rajawadiyar of Mysore, whose dynasty ever since retained them. It appears that Rajawadiyar had been desirous of possessing the jewels which was the property of the Rani, and being unable to obtain them, and eager to seize at any pretext, he levied an army and proceeded against the Rani. Rani Alamalama thereupon went to the banks of the Kaveri, and throwing in the jewel, drowned herself opposite Mailangi, at the same time uttering a threefold curse: let Talakad become sand. Let Mailangi become a whirlpool. Let the Mysore Rajas fail to beget heirs. The latter part continues to affect the royal family. Talakad is also tagged to the curse called a Oe Curse of Talakadu by Alamalama on the Wadiyar dynasty of Mysore. The Talakad curse has established itself in the folklore as a miracle since the early part of 16th century because of 2 strange events visible even to date. Talakad, an historically vibrant city, is now being submerged under sand dunes several meters deep, and the Mysore royal family have faced problem in having a rightful heir to the throne since the 17th century. Both these events linked to an apparent curse by a pious lady have defied logic. Based on the data from diverse sources and field studies, K.N. Genshire has reconstructed the possible chronology of events of this acclaimed miracle. Genshire argues that the Talakad phenomenon represents an ecological disaster unintentionally wrought onto a vibrant civilization at this place, and in this sense the curse per se is an intelligently inserted story as an overlay. Using this example he discusses the possible process through which the miracles or myths of this kind survive in a society. The curse of Talakad Maraloji, Malangi Maduvoji, Mysore Rasarajma Koligadirali. The female Alamalama cursed this way. May Talakad be filled with sand, Malangi be a whirlpool and Mysore kings shall not have offsprings. The following is what is known as the Curse of Tawhid, in the original. Talakadu Marala gi. Marlingi Madavad gi, Mysore Dojmakkolagate Hargali. Opening round bracket a squared 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 r squared r squared 3/4 r squared cubed r squared registered trademark r squared degree r cubed r squared 3/4 r squared r squared r squared registered trademark r squared 3/4 r squared r squared r squared r squared r squared r squared registered trademark r squared cubed r squared micron r squared 3/4 r squared r squared r squared registered trademark r cubed r squared degree r cubed r squared cubed char squared degree r cubed r squared registered trademark r squared cubed r squared 3/4 r squared cubed r to the first r cubed r squared. The old city Talakad is completely buried beneath the hills of sand stretching for nearly a mile in length, only the tops of two pagodas being visible. The sandhills used to advance upon the town at the rate of 9 or 10 feet a year, principally during the southwest monsoon, and as they pressed it close on three sides, the inhabitants were constantly forced to abandon their houses and retreat further inland. The town, however, is increasing in population, owing to the rich wet cultivation in the neighborhood, derived from the Mahadeva tree in Ikut and Channel. More than 30 temples, it is stated, are beneath the sand, but the Karti Narayana Temple is successfully excavated. The most imposing temple left uncovered by the sand is that of Vidyanatheshwara Temple. In the early part of the last century, two temples, Uranandasvara and Gaurasankara, were unearthed. 4 fragmentary records were found on the outer walls of the Patalasvara temple. One of these is an old inscription in Kannada of the Ganga period, the others being in Tamil. The Uranandasvara temple is said to have been built by one Chidanandasvami, a contemporary of Haidar. A story is related of the Swami that he once crossed the Kaveri in full flood seated on a plantain leaf, and that Haidar, who witnessed the miracle, greatly honoured him and made a grant of land for the temple founded by him. A Kannada inscription at the Gaurasankara temple tells us that this temple was built during the reign of the Mysore king Chikadeva Rajawadya. The Hoysala ruler, Vishnuvardhana, conquered the Gangas and Talakad. He built the impressive Vijnanarayana Snakesava temple at Bella. Some other legends. Several other interesting legends also surround this shrine. It is believed that an ascetic Somadatta headed out to side Taranaya Kshetra Talakad to worship Shiva. Having been killed by wild elephants en route, he and his disciples reincarnated as wild elephants and worshipped Shiva in the form of a tree at Talakad. 2 hunters, Tala and Kada, are believed to have struck the tree with an axe to find blood gushing forth, and upon the bidding of a heavenly voice, dressed the wound of the tree with the tree's leaves and fruits. The tree healed, and the hunters became immortal. Since Shiva is believed to have healed himself through this incident, he is referred to as Vaidishwara. The Pankali names here are all associated with this legend. Talakad today. This sleepy little town is at the epicenter of some of the latest advances in horticulture and winemaking. Often referred to as Bangalore's Gourmet Valley, it is still a secret many chefs keep close to their chests. Fine wines, exotic fresh produce, artisan cheese and diverse culinary experiences are changing this once sleepy hamlet. Temples. At Talakad, sand covers the temples. Stone pillars, square at the base and made to fit into a wheel below the abacus, lie scattered about. Among the temples of Talakad, the Pathaleshwara, Marileshwara, Arkeshwara, Vaidyanateshwara and Mallikarjuna temples, the 5 lingams believed to represent the 5 faces of Shiva, form the Panchapathi and have become famous. In honor of these 5 Shiva temples, a fair is held once every 12 years called Pankalinga Darshana, last held in 2009. The Pankalinga Darshana is held on a new moon day in the month of Karthika when 2 stars conjoin, the stars of Kwayoga and Vishaka. On this day, tradition has it that pilgrims should first bathe in the Gokana Tirtham, worship Gokanswara and Chandakadevi, and then worship Vaidishwara, and then bathe in the northern, eastern, southern and western stretches of the Kaveri and then worship Arkeshwara, Patcheleshwara, Muraleshwara and Mallikarjuna, returning to Vaidishwara after each worship, finally worship Kirti Narayana and conclude the pilgrimage in one day. According to local legend, Ramanujacharya during his sojourn in Karnataka, established 5 Vishnu temples of Lord Narayana known as Panchanarayana Kshetrams. Talakad is one of the Panchanarayana Kshetrams where the Kirti Narayana temple was established and the presiding deity in this temple is Kirti Narayana. Gallery. References: ABC Sonali, Latha. Temple Tales. Deccan Herald. Archived from the original on February 28, 2006. Retrieved December 25, 2013. The Curse of Talakad, a Legend in History by Sashi Sivaramakrishna. ISBN 81-291-0836-4, published by Rupa & Company, is a recent welcome addition on this subject which has been seldom written about. Genchaya, K.N. The Talakadu Phenomenon, a Miracle or an Ecological Disaster? Current Science 93, 1495 Euro 1500. ISSN 0011-3891. A.B. Talakad. Retrieved January 26, 2007. Southern India, the Hoysalas. Retrieved January 26, 2007. A.B. Talakad, Pankalinga Darshan. Retrieved January 31, 2007. http www.karnataka-vaishnavatemple.net Talakad htm, C. Harivardhana Rao, B.A., B.L., Fellow, University of Mysore, Editor, Mysore Gazetteer, 1930, Government Press, Bangalore. Mudikuthor, Talakad Temples, Temple Tales. External links: Gangas of Talakad in Quarterly Journal of Mythic Society, April 1954 by Dr. S. Srikanta Sastry, The Gangas of Talakad, Talakad Map, Thousands Throng Talakad. The Hindu. November 21, 2006. Retrieved December 24, 2013.